Welcome to episode 6 of the Black Swan Podcast. Today, we have an exciting panel to discuss legal marketing. A quick intro to Black Swan Productions before we begin. We're a Cardiff-based production company creating impactful marketing videos to help law firms connect authentically and emotionally with their audiences. We've worked on promotional videos, case study videos, culture videos, video podcasts, and more. Our panel includes Ryan Hogarty, a former legal partner, firm owner, and now head of business development and marketing for Redkite Solicitors. Amy Seppman, the marketing director at JCP Solicitors. We explore topics like establishing a distinctive brand voice, connecting with audiences on an authentic and emotional level, attracting new clients and building trust, and much more. Okay, so what are your core values that guide your work in the legal sector? So Amy, we'll start with you if you don't mind.
Do you mean like core values of the firm or core values of myself? So your core values
as a person and how they guide your kind of marketing efforts.
Oh, as a person working in the legal sector. Okay, so I think I've got 3 main core values. So one is integrity. So I think that's really important, just as personally integrity, but integrity in terms of your job, working for a law firm and everything that we do. And also, you know, the teams that we work with in the business, you know, they look at that, what we do in the marketing team, and that resonates throughout everywhere else as well. So integrity, accountability, I think that's a really important one. If you mess something up and you do something wrong, or your team does something wrong, you take accountability for it. You just put your hands up and you say, I'm really sorry, that was us. We'll do better next time. Yeah. And analyse where it went wrong, and that, I think, links in really nicely with integrity. But I think for me, the core value that is the one that I'm probably always struggling with and always try and do my best to try and achieve is balance. Right. And I think that's really hard when you work in professional services and you work in our industry, which is really fast paced and there's always so much going on. And that's balance between personal life and work life, and trying to make sure you get that. And it's a hard thing to get that right. But it's really important because I think you've got to have that home. For me, it's my ability to go home from an evening and go for a run or go for a bike ride or go for a swim or do all the things that I really love to do, because I know those things make me better in my work life. Yeah. So the moment my work life stops me having that balance, I feel it's my work life that actually suffers. Right, I see. So for me, balance is always my the one thing that I'm always trying to reach or achieve. Yeah. And once you get there, you're never going to retain it. You're going to have to continually work on it. Yeah.
I think that's right, because also like in law firms in general, and you and I probably will agree on this, is usually marketing departments are under-resourced in a way. Yeah. You know, I don't know if it's across sectors, but you know, it's kind of like, well, you know, it's often sometimes the last thing that's.
It's hard. We're an overhead. It's very hard. We don't earn the fees. So
exactly.
Yeah, you know, it's a very balance.
Well, that's the thing, is that it's got to be sustainable. And that's kind of what we try to think of when we are doing anything, is like, okay, there's X amount of members on our team. There's so many hours that we can give to this. Like, how does it fit in the priority? And there's always something that kind of falls off at the end of that.
Yeah. It's really hard to say no.
Oh man. Okay.
It's really hard when you've got an idea or something that's going to be really great, and someone comes to you and you think, oh, that's great, but when are we going to do that?
Exactly.
How do you say no?
I have no idea.
So I thought we were going to come here today and you were going to have like the magic wand.
Hayden's asking the questions, okay?
We're not allowed to answer that. He said, I'm not allowed to answer. He banned that question.
How do you say no? Yeah, exactly.
So what other values kind of guide your marketing then on a personal level?
I think because of the nature of legal services, like it's deeply emotional already.
Sure.
You know, the difficult things that clients are bringing to us. You know, it's divorce, bereavement, family home that's getting sold, you know, a dispute that's got to a point where we need to go to lawyers. So it's like, it's heavily emotional stuff. And I think we, you know, my personal value is that sort of human connection. Like I want the marketing to be able to show that actually that we're just human beings. I don't think we've reached there yet. Sure. You know, it's a long journey. It's
really hard, I think, to accept that no business is perfect, and we're not perfect. We're not. We are going to get things wrong. We're not going to get it right all the time. Things go wrong in the customer journey, etc. and it's really hard sometimes to accept that we're not going to be perfect. And I think the moment we can step back and say, actually, we accept that, we might actually start to nail it a little bit better.
And also on the human level, it's trying to break down those old school barriers between like the lawyer and the client that comes in. It's hard for folk to have the experience of coming to a lawyer, but when the lawyers make it more difficult in the process. So try to do that. I think another kind of core value of mine is kind of bringing joy.
I love that joy.
Nice. Yeah,
I like just bring.
One very often. That's a nice
one.
Yeah. Oh, I've stolen it. That's my one now.
That's mine.
But like, there's that fun element.
It's hard though, isn't it? Because as law firms, it's really hard to sell what we do because we're not a pleasure purchase.
No, exactly.
We're not a nice new
let's get that out the way. Get up there, get that in the open.
Piece of furniture for your house, or there's no pleasure, there's no joy in spending that money.
No.
There's no.
It's like a grudge purchase, isn't it? 100%,
and that's why we
paying your insurance.
Yes, they are paying insurance. It is, conveyancing, for example. Yes, all right, it gets, it's one of the biggest things you've ever done in your life. Yeah. Your house costs you so much. There is no joy in that extra additional legal fee that you have to pay. Yeah. It's hard, and I feel like we're always up against how do we make this a joyous purchase? How do we make this something that people
the process,
that we've solved this problem, whereas actually or if they're in litigation, to say if they're going through like a family issue or disputing a will or something like that, they're in a situation they don't want to be in the first place. Yeah. So no matter how well you resolve that situation, the best outcome they could possibly have is actually they weren't there to begin with. And I think that's what makes our jobs more challenging as marketers and a lot of marketers in other sectors. And also we've got the challenge as marketers as well in the legal sector is we're not just dealing with one sector of clients. We're not just dealing with one type of demographic or one kind of location where our clients are based. We have got so much going on at any given time. I always get in our business, our directors come to me and they'll ask me a question about this team or that team, and they'll just say to me, I don't know how you retain all that information. It's so broad.
It's almost like just every service is its own business.
100%.
It is. It's like having a number of companies under one roof. That you're trying to sort of manage and look after what they want and their needs and their clients and their client demographic.
So when Ryan says we have to tune into their emotions, but we've got a lot of different clients, a lot of different emotions that we have to try and understand. And and in one way it makes our job the most challenging, but in the other way it makes our job the best. It's
absolutely.
Great. Every day is different. Nothing's ever the same. We're always here and there and everywhere and thinking about different things and different markets
and impacting so many lives. I suppose impacting so many lives in so many different ways.
Well, yes.
I mean I often think like if I was a marketer for like a car sales company.
Oh, wouldn't it be lovely? Just one car.
Ford Mustang.
Oh yeah,
Jaguar, the new Jaguar. Sorry, that was a bad example.
It was
a bad example. But like, I think it's easy almost to evoke emotion in a law firm because what you're dealing with, and the clients that are in front of you. If I was to try and market Tesco's or, you almost have to. You've got to wind it up a couple of notches to get the emotion
right
to a packet of crisps. Marketing a packet of crisps or something. So,
and the emotion for one audience is so different to the emotion for another. So, for example, if you look at someone buying a house, that emotional purchase that they have is totally different to someone going for a divorce or someone who's buying or selling a business. So it is trying to find all those different channels and you trying to be everything to everyone. And it's the balance between the different departments, the different teams who are asking you to do something, and you can't do it that way because you're also trying to speak to this client over here this way, and if you do it that way, you're going to offend this client over here. So, balance.
Balance.
Yeah, there we go.
We're back to
Yeah,
balance.
exactly.
I am going to say another thing that I'm going a bit deeper here, right? So back to emotions. I actually think that we have two sets of clients as marketers and law firms, okay? So we have the external clients, the clients that come in and instruct our legal teams. And I would say that in the legal market, as a marketing teams, we are just facilitators, okay? Because the people in our business, that's what we're really selling. That's our product, is the people. And it's when those clients meet the people, it's up to our people to convert the business, okay? Yeah. So we need to make sure that all of those people in our law firms are representative of our values, of the brand and the values and who we are. And they do everything that they do with their clients that mirrors what we're trying to achieve, okay? But the only way we can do that is to market to them and to get them to buy into what we're doing.
Right.
So we have to bring our people on the journey, changing the culture, so they understand who we are, so that when we're marketing to the outside firm, the service they get matches what we promised that we would deliver. And the only way to do that is to get our legal teams to buy in and to be on the journey with us. And I think that is why it's such a challenge, and why I think actually, as well as all these different sectors, we've got two distinct client bases as well.
Yeah.
Think I'm right?
I think you're right. It's almost, change becomes a longer process, A campaign is not just, this is what we're doing, guys, and
you can't just say, this is what we're going to do, this is why we're doing it. You've got to bring them on the journey. They've got to buy into what you're doing. They've got to believe in what you're doing.
It's the why, isn't it, I suppose?
And they've got to trust you.
It's the why over the what, I suppose, isn't it? Yeah.
And sometimes the what, if you've got different people that are doing different things in different ways, you sort of dilute the brand. So it just, you've got to go slower, take people with you, and as marketers, we move faster.
We do. We want to move everything really fast. We want to do it tomorrow. We want to do it yesterday. Yeah. So.
Yeah, we want to get all the things zinging and moving across the shop. And it doesn't work. It doesn't work that way.
We have to get the buy-in. You have to get the buy-in. And the legal teams are, they're the key to really delivering that successfully, I think.
Yeah, and I agree with you.
Nice. Yeah. So how do you go about establishing a distinctive brand voice in the legal sector?
Amy's got all the answers for this.
Thanks for that. Do you know what? So I will tell you a bit of my history. So I actually started at JCP Solicitors when I was 19 years old. I'm now 40, so I have worked there for 21 years. It was my gap year, so it's like been a really long gap. So it was my gap year before uni. I worked in the property teams, I really enjoyed it. I got promoted to supervisor. I thought, well, this is really good. If I'm going to have a legal career, I'll stay on here a little bit longer. Then I had my son. I was on maternity leave, and I came back after maternity leave, and I thought, you know what, I never went to university. I really should have done that. There's something in my that I haven't done. I told the business that I'd probably have to go and do a nursing degree because they paid a bursary, and that's the only way I felt like I could go to university. And the business offered me a secondment in the marketing team. 3 months went well, really successful, and I said I'd love to stay on, but I need to get some studying done. I should have gone to university. And I was so lucky. Some amazing business owners back then at the time, they funded me through. I did 3 years worth of night school, and I got my CIM diploma and my CIM postgraduate in night school with a small child whilst working there, which is just incredible. So. I've really the marketing team at JCP Solicitors really started with me. So it started with me back, 20 years ago.
How big were JCP then?
Oh God, I think we were maybe 80 to 100 people back then.
Right, okay.
I think. We're one office in Swansea. And we're now 7 offices across South Wales and about 185 people at any time. So the business has really grown, and my team has obviously grown alongside that, and I hope in some ways been instrumental to that, enabling and helping assist
building
with
the brand.
So we talk about voice and brand voice and things all the time, and sometimes I think the voice we use on social media and the things that we say, sometimes it's just my voice because I built it up from the bottom up, and it's just the way I've always spoken, and I've always been the one to do it. And I've noticed that with team members that have come through, where they'll draft up social media posts and things, and I'll make little tweaks here and there, and then gradually over time, it is exactly how I think that it should be said. And I don't know whether that's right or wrong, and maybe I need someone to come in and look at that and say, you should change that and you should tweak it in some way. But my rule of thumb really has always been to keep it simple. To keep it transparent. You've talked about transparency. And also to try and answer a question or solve a problem. And I think that, if you just keep to those key things, to not make it overly complicated, to make it easy, to make it straightforward, is the right...
no, that makes sense.
And also to always go back to your brand values and say, does this mirror
and
our
do you
brand
ever
values?
kind of look at other law firms and kind of compare, not necessarily what they're doing, but more...
Never look at other
No,
law firms.
never, not interested.
Never, ever, no, 100% not.
Certainly not JCP.
No, never.
Because having a distinctive
We did
brand,
not look each other up on LinkedIn before this and go through every single one of
I
each
did not
other's
know
posts.
who Amy was.
No idea.
Because when you're kind of building, the brands, I use the word distinctive. Maybe that's not the best word, but what kind of brand are you trying to build? Is it a distinctive one? Is it an authentic one? Is it a trustworthy one? A helpful one?
Well, I was going to say to your initial question was, is you have to know yourself.
Yeah.
So, with a company with multitude of voices, that becomes quite a difficult thing to do.
Yeah.
So Redkite's journey has been from similar area to where Amy and their offices are, sort of out West Wales.
Yeah, we're quite competitors in West Wales, mind.
Yeah, we are.
Lovely place to be, right?
We're good sparring partners. A lot of respect for each other.
I feel like we should go for lunch instead of Bride's Hotel or something like that.
Okay,
That would be quite good.
I'd like that.
All right.
So we've moved eastward into Gloucestershire,
right?
Sort of Swansea, Cardiff, Gloucester.
So we haven't really gone any further than Cardiff yet. So.
Right.
Yeah. So 270 of folk now, over 17 offices.
Yeah.
By acquisition.
Right.
You can think of the picture when you mention brand. When you've actually taken on brands and had to
there's a culture shift
bring in your own brand.
Yeah.
So we kind of at the moment now, and I said to Amy, like we are not actively looking to grow by acquisition anymore, and we're kind of on the journey now of just who are we? I know it's kind of like that, navel gazing type stuff, and you say that to lawyers and they're just like roll the eyes, but the reality is, for that grouping of people to have like one voice, one value or a couple of values, and like a message that we consistently set out across all of those offices, you actually need a bit of some thought and a plan to go into that. And so,
but actually, some of those firms that you've acquired,
Yeah.
they may have actual sort of voices and brand and culture and things that you really like, and that you actually absorb some of that into.
Exactly.
And so it's about
Exactly.
a lot of it is about
true.
learning
That's
and
true.
actually
listening.
I was going to say
Yeah.
everything about marketing should be about listening.
Yeah.
And it is about listening
Yeah.
to your people and the teams and what they want and what they think they should deliver, and they're the ones that are seeing the
Yeah.
clients.
Yeah.
They know better. They know far better than the marketing team
Yeah.
does about their audience.
Yeah.
Like I said to you, I feel that we're just the facilitators. That's our role.
Yeah.
Listening,
So in Wales, there's sort of over 600 law firms, 3,500 solicitors in Wales alone.
Wow.
I think your question is right. Like, how do you actually differentiate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you how does
makes
the
you
brand?
different?
Yeah. I mean, I'd be interested to know. You guys don't know.
Being different.
Yes.
It is a really hard one because I sometimes think you could pick up at any law firm's website and put any brand on it and it would be exactly the same.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly the same services written in exactly the same way. So
Well, especially when you go on their websites.
Yeah.
I think law
Yes.
firms are generally quite bad for their websites and just
Terrible
looking
at
like with
selling
the stock
ourselves.
images
Yeah.
and kind of the
Yes.
same kind of messaging and just the service is the most important thing. And
Excellent
it's like,
service.
how about your culture or customer reviews? Or,
yeah.
yeah.
Integrity, I think, is
Right.
a big thing, and transparency as well.
Yeah.
And we're always looking at ways of how can we do that differently, and just because we've always done it like that doesn't mean we should do it like that, and constantly asking ourselves why. But why?
Yeah.
So why do we do that? Why are we doing it that way? Why are we saying
Simon
that?
Sinek.
All the
Yeah.
time. And then now looking at, okay, so if we've said this, what have we got the back set up? What's the proof? Where's the credibility? So where's the reviews? Where's all the accreditations? Where's all those things that back up these things that you do? But I think also, we're going to get into this a little bit after, so in websites in particular, getting video in, getting that really shows who people are, because I've gone back to where I started, which was our clients really buy the people, and they need to see who they're instructing. They need to know that that's the kind of person they could sit across the table to and tell them very sort of emotive issues.
And you can only really tell that in a video because you can see their body language. You can't in a photo, you can't tell in a
really
photo.
Get it, can you?
You can't tell in written text.
Maybe a little bit by a phone call, but you need to say, well, is that the kind of person?
And even on phone, I mean, sometimes I phone call someone and I think, oh, this person seems, and I see them in person and they're lovely. So.
And, do you know, I have a conversation with a quite senior member of our team quite often, and he'll say, oh, I didn't get this client because my website profile didn't do this, I wasn't professional enough. And then he'll say, oh, I don't think I got this client because my website profile wasn't approachable enough. And I say, well, that's okay, you just need to be you, and you're not going to win all the business, because some clients want really, really professional and suit and tie, and that's what they want, and they want you to list all your cases, and they want to know that they're, you know, that's who that's what they see their lawyer as. And some people don't. They want their hand to be held, and they want the soft approach, and they want to know that you're easygoing, and that they don't have to dress up to come into the office.
I would imagine.
I think things are changing.
Right, sure.
And I think it depends on like the area of law as well.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. If it's maybe personal injury, then you want someone who's maybe you can have a closer relationship with. But if it's maybe something less or more formal,
I mean. I think you still have the clients that are looking for a gladiator to enter the arena
well, I think
for
those
disputes
days are gone now.
For the in court.
It's more emotional kind of.
Exactly.
Yeah, those days have gone a little bit, I think. And I think that's what it comes down to. It's horses for courses. You're not going to win every piece of business, and that's why Ryan and I were talking about it's really important to have good law firms on each side of a transaction, because only that way does that transaction progress and move forward quickly. You know, if you end up with a firm on the other side that is dabbling in a specialist area, doesn't really know what they're doing, that is to detriment to you as a law firm for your cash flow and everything like that, but also to your client. So we need to have good law firms around us. We need to be able to make those referrals and recommendations. That's, you know, that is really vital.
Can we talk about trust, building trust?
Yes.
What are the kind of not tactics, but maybe, but what are the kind of core values, the core fundamentals to building trust for a law firm? What can they kind of do? I suppose I see a lot of law firms maybe on social media, they post a lot of their team, they post their team at like parties. So you look at them and you think, okay, these look like, you know, nice, these look like nice people, and you know.
That's all we do.
I guess it works. But what else?
Integrity, which is a big word that we've used today as well. Community.
But what does that mean, integrity? In the sense of the legal marketing, how do they show the integrity?
I don't know. But I guess it's about being an ethical business as well.
Right.
There's that as well, isn't there? You know, ethical business practices, doing the right thing from the bottom up, doing the right thing from the outside to inside. So you know, everything that you say in your marketing, that you are who you are, is also who you are internally, how you treat your employees. All of that. I think it's the whole circle of it. I think if it comes back to, I think, to your core values and making sure that you test every decision you make against your core values. So no matter what decision you're making that impacts on anybody, be it your employees, be it your clients, be it any of your stakeholders, those decisions reflect who you are. And I listened to a podcast, sorry, you were going to talk. I talk loads. You're going to say, I wish I never had. I listened to a podcast from CIM on my way down today because I was like, you know, swatting up a bit. And it said on there that your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. Yeah. I loved that. Yeah. I absolutely loved that. I thought that is perfect. Yeah. Well, I was going to say, it sounds like the kind of a very healthy combination for marketing is having a really strong culture and having a really great service offered. And I suppose if you've got those two things, then when it comes to marketing, you've kind of won already, because all you need to do is just communicate those things. But as you said, there's a lot of law firms out there doing all these right things. There's loads of firms out there doing all these right things. It's how you make yourself stand up for your competitors. When there are a lot of us now who are very active listeners, listening to their clients and doing these things, doing all the right things, making right decisions. But there's a lot of sameness happening. Yeah. I think if you think what's the basis of any of trust is a relationship. And the legal sector or law firms are still one of those kind of old school, you know, ways of going, hey, that person's my lawyer, you know. That's still kind of,
it harks back to the old days. You're like my doctor, and we don't really say that anymore.
Yeah.
But people still say that's my lawyer, and
I love that.
And I think that's still important for people.
Yeah.
Clients that we speak to are still wanting their lawyer. Be it down the road, phone call away, an email away.
Yeah.
They still want that. They need that, and I think that's got to come through in the marketing. That's got to. We're trying to do that more. Marketing. A law firm web pages where it's like the picture of the building. Do you remember? I mean, we used to do that. We probably still got some on our web page that we need to remove. But it's. I think we've got to move away from that type of corporate image.
Well, it's very interesting you say that because we did a case study video recently, a personal injury case study video, and the core. The most important thing in that video was to show the relationship with the lawyer and the client, and it wasn't even how much was won, the success of the case, anything like that. It was just the relationship.
I think so. One of the struggles that we have now, and you will probably agree with me, is that we very much push our teams into specialising in certain services. So gone are the days where your lawyer did family, they did your divorce, they did your will, they did your those days have gone because specialisation is absolutely key to making sure you deliver the best service possible.
Correct.
So having your lawyer is very difficult when it's an individual because that individual actually can't do the rest of the services, which is why as law firms, every law firm I've ever spoken to, and you might say, no, we're brilliant at this, really struggles with that internal collaboration between teams.
Yes. Yeah.
Where if it's a client of one team, how does that client become a client of another? And the trust element comes in because the person in the conveyancing team who's got a client that always uses them needs to trust the person in the employment team or the person in the wills team to give that client the service they know they give. So I think trust is an internal thing as well.
Yes.
I agree with you. Hayden, what do you find is the most important thing when shooting a video for a law firm?
I suppose it's about target audience. I suppose it's about understanding the audience and understanding what you're trying to get them to feel and how you're trying to get them to act. So if you're just trying to get them, you're just trying to sell to them, then you're producing a video just to sell it to them, and that's never really going to work because what you're going to do then is produce something that's probably very direct. It's not very genuine. It's just kind of talking about you, and not really talking about them. And so I suppose it's really knowing the audience and then really understanding the firm's core values.
Okay.
Because if you have both of those things, then I suppose you're off to a great start. Then that's where I would start, I suppose.
Okay.
Target audience and the firm's values and what you're actually looking to achieve.
Okay.
Are you looking to get them to book a call straight away? Are you looking for them to just kind of know who the firm is, like the firm, know where to go when the time's right? What are you trying to achieve?
Okay.
Your call to action.
Yeah.
What is that at the end?
Yeah.
And if a firm was starting off a video journey, like where would you say they begin that journey?
You have to have a good conversation, I suppose,
Okay.
just to really understand the firm and understand what matters to them most. Because it could be something like recruitment. It could be that they want to attract top solicitors to the firm, so they want to showcase their culture. It could be that they're trying to push a particular service. So it just depends what they're trying to achieve and also where they want to be in a couple of years. Because it's all well and good doing a video for now. You can do a promo video for the homepage of a website. You can convert way more leads because you've got a really impactful video. But in the next kind of 3 years, you might be thinking, oh, we need more solicitors. So I suppose it's thinking short term, but also long term. Yeah. Okay, so can we talk a bit about the challenges in legal marketing then? What are the most maybe common challenges? What are the most, severe challenges? What would you say?
Well, I think the challenge always comes down to time.
Right.
That is the challenge. Time is the challenge because our legal teams are also extremely busy and we rely on them for so much to be able to deliver what we need to deliver on the marketing time. But for me, a challenge I have is always about generating enough content. It's always about content because I feel like that is the main sort of stream of our marketing for everything that we do. Always comes back to content, what we're saying, what we're putting on the website, what we're delivering on our social media, what's going out there in blogs, what's going out there in the media, what's going out there in video. So time and content. Yeah,
I agree with you. I think we have to rely on our lawyers and our teams to for the content, because they're the ones that are they're working with the clients. They are the ones that are producing the goods. So we need to capture that. And the time is spent actually in just developing the relationships internally, like we've mentioned, and then trying to just extract what's happening, little bits.
Yeah.
I mean, we're working hard and trying to put tools in our lawyers' hands. In other words, giving them making marketing easy for them,
empowering them. Yeah.
Exactly right. And that just takes time and it takes practice. From I had an example today. We had a colleague who was doing a presentation at Milford Haven Port Authority, and she took a photo and she sent it through to us, and we hadn't really told her how to take the photo. Right. So we what's going to be appropriate to show the world how this experience went. That's on us. So that's an example. I think that's our challenge, is we have to go at a pace with the size of our teams.
Yes.
to work, to go and put these tools in our lawyers' hands, get the content that we want, get them to show and portray the brand how we think it's best.
But whilst recognising as well that we put a lot of pressure on our legal teams. They've got a lot to deal with, from the delivery of the client service, the compliance. There's if they're a team leader, and you've got team leader responsibilities, and then on top of that we're saying, oh, by the way, and there's also marketing. We are putting a lot on them sometimes, and it's about us having to recognise. It's
our priority. But they've got multiple.
They've got multiple priorities,
and they're balancing this thing together.
Totally.
And they are amazing.
They are amazing.
They are amazing.
And it is about recognising. So our challenge is their challenge. Because that's where it comes from. I think, like you said, I love talking to people who recognise how hard their legal teams work in a marketing environment, because I think it's so important.
So what are some ways to kind of overcome that, in the sense of getting solicitors to really buy in to being at the face of the brand? I suppose if they build a personal brand, then they can attract lots of business, and then they're going to be...
So I think you've got every business has it. You've got people who are really good outward-facing people. They're fantastic. You can put them in a room and they will talk to everyone and they'll work the room and they'll come back with business and they will be brilliant, right?
Sure.
And you've got people that no matter how much training you give them, they are not comfortable. Sure. They do not like it.
They don't want to go on the dance floor.
Don't make them stop. Right? Don't try and push people into holes that they don't fit. It just makes everyone
work with what you got.
This makes everyone feel uncomfortable. I've got people in the business who are absolutely brilliant in rooms, so I love to support them and talk to them about what they do, especially when we've got trainees and newly qualified coming through that love all that networking stuff. Brilliant, embrace it, it's great. But if you just want to sit behind your desk and you just want to be a brilliant fee earner, I think that's also fine. Okay. I think that's great, and I think that brilliant fee earning and what you give in terms of the customer experience and the customer journey, CX, that is equal importance in the marketing journey. Yeah,
I think you've got to make it easy. I was going to say pleasurable, but
well, fun is a key word.
It's not a banned word.
But the thing is,
fun is a key word.
You're putting us in front of cameras here, and thankfully Amy and I it's so easy for us, isn't it?
Just naturals. Yeah. I don't
even
need to be here. I'm on a separate bench.
But if you try and ask someone to be in front of a camera, even if it's just a phone camera, it's intimidating.
It's horrible.
It's terrible.
And we've got to respect that.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I suppose the question to you, Hayden, is how do you get lawyers comfortable in front of the camera?
It's funny,
that's what we want to ask you, Aidan.
It's funny because when we work with firms, we work with them generally, we never work on one project. We've never worked with a firm and just only worked with them once. We tend to 6 projects, it can be all sorts. But that's because once they do it and they have such a fun time doing it and they're representing the brand, they just want to do it more.
Yeah, I love that.
They just want to do it more. So,
but you will get the same people because they're the people that love it and embrace it, and they're the ones.
Yeah, but the key is when we receive the testimonials from the firms, they always mention how fun it was during filming, and it's like, well, that's a huge thing. Otherwise, they wouldn't necessarily mention it. But they had it in their minds, I suppose, that they were going to sit there, all these lights. It's going to be really stressful, really corporate, and instead it was a great fun. It was almost like a culture piece as well because they're showing the firm and.
I've worked with a few film crews. over time, and actually the best ones are the ones that just relax and lay back and don't make you feel pressured and just say to you, look, get it wrong, don't worry, we'll cut, we'll start again, it's fine. They are the best, and it's also, I feel it's about, as marketeers, it's about finding those people to put in front of your lawyers, because honestly, if I am using an outsourced provider for something and I am uncomfortable with putting them in a room with our lawyers, that's the worst place to be. It's got to be someone I really trust to sit there with them as well, that I know will make them feel at ease.
Yeah. Speaking about trust, so when it comes to sort of bringing in external marketing suppliers, how do you go about picking people or picking agencies or freelancers that understand the brand? Because I suppose the brand, you know, to you can be like your baby in a sense. You want to protect it, it means so much to you, and then somebody else comes in and it's another one of their clients.
I got a question that goes about, right? Do you ever get approached by people who think they're going to come in with a magic wand and they're going to be the best thing since sliced bread, and they tell you everything that you're doing wrong? Do you get those approaches? I can't stand it.
I don't.
Emails.
We can do what you're doing better is basically what the.
I don't let them out of my LinkedIn inbox.
It's so insulting.
I don't let them in. I just they ring fenced.
I get really insulted by some of these approaches. It makes me really angry inside.
Do you reply?
No,
they don't work.
No,
block them.
I think I've got this amazing team that works so hard, and we do the absolute best that we can do, working with our lawyers and within their time constraints as well. And there are loads of things that we could do so much better if we had the time to do it. But just because you're a marketing agency that thinks you can do that, don't come sliding into my DMs with that, because it ain't happening.
No.
I think you got to look for people that have worked with law firms before, or at least with a professional firm. Be it accountants, engineers.
On that, sorry, just to say, how does it work if you have an agency that works with, say, lots of law firms? Is there ever a kind of concern that they might do something great for a law firm here and then take the same thing, or they might do something great for you and then take it to another law firm? How does that
That's a great question. I would hope they do.
But this goes back
just for your fun, though.
Exactly. Find best practice everywhere and bring it to
share
it.
Oh, yes.
Share it.
Share the best practice. This is a really hard conversation for me, because we've only really worked with 2 agencies that we've worked with for an awful long time, so I trust them implicitly. And very rarely I ever rarely we look for new relationships because they haven't broken down. So our PR, we've got a PR marketing agency we've worked for since actually they were doing things for the business before I was even in the business, so they even predate me. And then we've got a website company who we've worked with for absolutely years. But it does happen where but they do sometimes contact us and say, we've been approached by their competitor, how would you feel? And I love that. That is really important to me. It's opening that dialogue and having the conversation. Because 9 times out of 10, I'll say, that's absolutely fine. It's fine, they're not competitors, or do you know what, they are a competitor, but we work really closely together and we often refer business to each other. So it's in our best interest that they're also successful. So I think it's transparency.
Okay.
That's what's really important.
Yeah, and again, it's around the relationship, isn't it? So, you work with people that you like, know, and trust. So if you are working with a marketing company, essentially you're going to be working with 2 or 3 people in that company, and those 2 or 3 people you need to trust. So experience aside, they've worked with legal firms or professional service firms, and then the person in front of you is someone that you like, that you know, and that can deliver, that can work with your teams if they are coming in, and we do that. I mean, we outsource some of our function. We don't have a massive marketing team, and we've chosen to get the best in the industry, outside of his industry, people that have worked with other law firms before, and I think that helps. If you insource everything, if you've got an inside team, unless you've got a really good learning and development culture, that team is eventually going to get a little bit stale. So when you get there's a mix, there's a balance, isn't there?
And often it's about using your outsourced providers to come in and do training with your team as well, to teach them the new things and staying in touch with what's going on. So that's a key thing, because it's a really easy area to stagnate. You're really easy just to stop learning, and you can't in our game. You absolutely can't, because it's constantly moving. You've got to constantly be on it. You've got to constantly be learning, listening, reading. You know, and I think it is very easy sometimes just to take that step back and think, I just need some time out. I mean, I think I'm new to marketing, so I'm actually have worked as a lawyer for 20 odd years, and only recently crossed the great divide.
from fee earning to non-fee earning, we call it, but meaningful marketing since April. And I don't know. I mean, I think law firms are behind when it comes to being on the cutting edge, if you call it that. Pretty bad analogy. It's you can actually, in a law firm, depending on where you are, maybe other places are different, but you might have experienced this. You can let some of your stuff sit for a little bit without having to make sure that everything is kind of super polished and clean, because ultimately, I don't know I don't know why. I mean, I have some ideas around. I don't know exactly, but I think maybe it's because people sometimes don't care. They just want the legal service. Or maybe it's not high on their priority list that you have this like spiffing web page, or that your everything is perfect. I don't know what your experience is as well.
So no, I think the world is changing a little bit, and there's lots going on, and
we need to catch up.
Yeah, there is a lot, and I think that if you don't embrace it, you're going to get left behind very quickly. There's a lot going on, and there's a lot to be scared of.
Yeah.
There's a lot to be scared of.
You could bring up AI.
Well,
that's a whole episode, isn't it? I think
that is a whole episode in itself.
You said it.
Yeah. But it's the future. It's the future of search, isn't it? It's the future of what we do. It's probably the future of content.
Yeah.
And I think we need to be on it. We need to be learning, and we need to be bringing it in. We need to be doing it. I think the legal delivery and the marketing delivery are two completely separate. They're completely separate here. But I mean, we're already using little bits of AI at the moment, and we're starting a new project in January where we're really going to start learning. We're really going to start learning how to use it and how it can benefit us. And it comes back to what we said at the very beginning, which was marketing teams being under-resourced. Yeah. I think AI is our solution.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, I agree. So in terms of the decision-making process then, so how do you handle, or maybe not how do you handle, but I suppose when I've spoken to sort of lawyers, say marketing managers in law firms, maybe they're a sole marketing manager, maybe they're in a law firm, 50, 60 staff, and they might have sort of a bunch of partners, and I talk to them and they've got all these ideas, they want to do these videos and do all this stuff, but they just hit a brick wall, because there might be one person in the law firm, quite often there is, that's super keen, yes, I want to do all this stuff, I want to get the brand out there, but then the other 5 partners, they're not so keen. So how do you handle the hierarchy, I suppose?
Do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. So we've, our structure is, we've got members, so we're an LLP, so we've got over 20 members. So I think from a practical point of view, trying to get agreements on everything it's just actually an irrelevant question.
Right.
So they outsource that to our sort of exec team.
Right.
And each of those exec members, exec directors have roles. And so I suppose it comes down to your structure, of decision making. So if that's outsourced, then that's fine. I think the decision is one thing. How change filters through the organisation is another thing, because you can make a decision at an exec level, but how it then gets adopted and bought in across the whole piece is a totally different thing. But certainly from our point of view, that's kind of our culture. Here's your role, we trust you, you make decisions, we'll back you. If there is collaboration needed on something, so for example video, I won't make it by myself. I will, reference maybe our CEO or other folk that are involved in the project. I've got a marketing manager, and our team will reference. So I think it depends on the decision that's made and kind of how broad and far-reaching it is. Because you can make a decision that actually affects how a lawyer is, what their day-to-day life.
Yeah.
So like getting reviews from a client. That involves engagement. A lot deeper than.
Well, even like if a firm, for instance, was to start doing video podcasts, then obviously you do video podcasts with lots of different solicitors in lots of different areas. Yes. That changes the entire firm because that's a lot of time.
Yes, so, exactly.
Yeah. I think being agile is key. So recognising as a business, you need to be able to make quick decisions. You need to move. Agility. I am in an extremely lucky position as a legal marketer in that I'm actually an equity partner. So I bought into the business 4 years ago. So. that is very beneficial, but it doesn't mean that I get to make the decisions at all. So, I've got really great relationships with all of our other business owners, which is fantastic. But we also have a very forward-thinking CEO. So, sometimes I go to her, and it's not about, we don't really believe too much in hierarchy at JCP, but it's not really about, I want to make this decision, do you sign it off? I'll go to her and say, I think we need to do this, can I talk it through with you? And she and I will kind of chew the fat on it, and we'll back and forth it, and then we'll be like, yeah, let's do it, let's go for it. And that's really handy to have that kind of sounding board. But also as a business, we write strategy plans. We do our strategy plans on a 3-year cycle. Right. So we base every decision comes back to number 1, core values, and number 2, does that meet your strategy? Is what you're going to do, your strategy for where you want to be in 3 years' time, and is what you're going to do now going to get you there? And if the answer is no, we don't do it. Yeah. And actually, the best thing about strategy plan I always say it's given me a no tool. because we say yes all the time, yes, in the marketing team, yes, and then we're just busy fools. Yeah. So actually, what it's given me is a tool to say, well, why? Why do you want to do that? Where's it going to get you? And actually, no, I don't think that's the right decision.
So within that kind of those 3 years you mentioned, do you have something in mind of exactly, if you were to close your eyes and imagine the JCP brand, what's the kind of dream vision for the brand?
Well, we've just finished a 3-year cycle, and I'm writing a vision for the next 3 years. So ask me again in April once we finish the planning process, and I'll be able to tell you.
So what's kind of coming up then, I suppose, in 2025, I suppose, for the brands?
For brands, or kind of in marketing and what we're going to be doing?
Yeah, for both brands.
Okay.
For us, it's going to be growth.
Okay.
It's definitely next 3 years for us is going to be about growing. Right. We've spent the last 3 years kind of plugging holes in our bucket, really, finding out where all the different leakages are in places to get us into a really solid position to move forward. And I think if we had tried to move forward before we'd done that, there just would have been too much leaking out the other end. Sure. So it's a really bad analogy, but I think it kind of makes sense.
We got you.
You get what I mean.
We get it.
So we're in a really solid position in the business now to grow, which is really exciting for my team, because that means investment in what we're doing as well. Yeah. And I've already said it before, but I'm going to say it again. For us, in order to support a bigger business, AI, that is it. That's next year for us. That's going to be our focus. We're going to look at how AI can support the team, our team, to get us to the next step of where we need to be.
Okay.
Yeah. As I mentioned, we've sort of grown by acquisition. We're now at that point of like just consolidating. We're working out, internally. Yeah. What's our story? Yeah. What makes us different? We've been asking that question. What makes Redkite different from other law firms on the high street?
And what do you think makes Redkite different?
I think internally we've got a really great culture. Right. I know, that kind of sounds cliche. Everyone's got a great culture, don't they? But when I interviewed sitting in South Africa 4 years ago, online interview, sitting in my dicky bow on and my blazer and my shorts underneath because it was like 40 degrees. For the job at Redkite, I encountered people that were just down to earth, personal, sustainable. They wanted to know about how I take, and what gets me out of bed in the morning, and that stood with me, and that's the culture that we're trying to live and breathe. And so, what does that kind of look like? A little bit more of that coming out. I think lawyers we're not great with shouting about ourselves and sort of sharing what's happening on the inside. So we want to do a little bit more of that. It's local. We've got 17 offices in very specific, locations with different types of clients.
That alone, marketing for all the different areas must be super different. I mean, marketing in Cardiff is, very different to say marketing in London, for instance.
Yeah. So marketing in Pembrokeshire.
Yeah, it's all very different. Yeah. So how do you manage the kind of local marketing as well?
Well, I think that's part of our strategy. You're talking about sort of next year is understanding that a whole lot better. So really speaking to our people in the planning of our marketing, understanding what's happening on the ground, developing those relationships, so partnerships, be they with charities, schools, clinics, NHS, our referral relationships. So really building local with local teams, understanding what's happening on the ground, and then tailoring our marketing to that. Yeah, it's not easy. It's
so it's kind of like a tree with all these different branches.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly right. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, and then it's just like a tornado.
Yeah.
So we're trying to control.
All the birds flying over.
I love it though. I wouldn't change it. It's just great. Every day is different. So
it is. I've loved that. Nice. I really have.
So how do you tend to go about sharing the client's voice, in the sense of, if you have solicitors going out there doing fantastic work, 5-star reviews, personal relationships, how as a brand can you then share that? Or how do you share that, I suppose?
There are lots of review sites out there to choose from as law firms, and we are encouraged by the SRA that reviews are important for us to collect. I think at the moment lots of law firms are using review solicitors or Trustpilot, and we've been looking at both of them, but we are focusing mostly on review solicitors at the moment.
Yeah, same, yeah.
I think it's a really good tool for listening to our clients.
Sure.
So, as marketeers, we're also always told, focus groups and feedback and find out what people are saying. But actually, just by reading these reviews, that gives us so much, quality information that we can act on. And it's great to have lots of good reviews, and that's really great. But I also think I really quite like, it's really important to have the odd negative review.
Sure.
It's really important because actually we are only human, and things do go wrong, and things can happen.
Yeah.
But the more important thing about that negative review is not like, oh God, how do we shut it down? It's actually, how do we respond to it? And how do we listen to it? And how do we say to them, do you know what, thank you very much, you've highlighted an error in our procedures that we are going to fix because of your review, because something out of the ordinary happened and it fell out of a process and it went wrong for the client. And I think if you can listen and respond and change, you can get so much value from collecting what clients say about you.
Yeah. I think you've got to ask the right questions.
Yeah.
We are trying to understand our client's experience.
Yeah.
And not just assume that everything is fine. So we're kind of on that journey, asking clients difficult questions. Please tell us exactly what you think.
Yeah.
And asking all clients and that. And I think you took a deep breath over there, Amy. It's hard.
Yeah, it is hard.
It is hard to kind of really look under the bonnet, because I think we kind of just look at the top and go, that's fine.
Yeah, that's okay. And actually, there's a lot more that goes on. And we talked earlier about the fact that we're not a pleasure purchase. There's nothing nice about buying legal services.
And things can go wrong.
And things can go wrong, which makes it doubly as not
control.
nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
So collecting positive reviews is not as easy as it would be for, did you have a nice meal in this restaurant? Which is much easier, where you really enjoy that pleasure
time
purchase.
spans.
Yeah, it's really good. So I think reviews are a really tricky area for law firms, especially because you also get reviews from the other side of a conveyancing transaction that's kind of gone wrong, and your client is happy, they're not too bad.
And they go onto Google and go,
then we're happy. But the other side is not happy because of something that happened, and they can log into Google or log onto your review solicitors and they can leave a bad review, but they're the other side. You've got the other side in a litigation case, or the other side in a family case where
that doesn't seem fair that they can.
Well, but they can.
Right. Okay.
And that is so. Whilst we're saying reviews are really good and we should all collect reviews and we should listen, it's really challenging in our sector to do that in a positive way. And it's quite scary, and it's scary for some of our lawyers, I think, when we're saying to them, we're going to set you up as a profile on review solicitors, you can have reviews collected under your name. That's a really scary point to them. And I hate it when they get a bad review. Like, honestly, it makes my heart sink into my boots, because I think these people are working so hard and they are trying their best, and now I have to say to them, I'm really sorry, you got this. Not only have you got it, but it's online forever and there's nothing I can do about it.
Right, exactly.
Right.
Because something went wrong in a transaction, and because the client was entitled to go on and leave that review, even though internally we sorted it out to the best that we could possibly do. There are things that actually, as much as we try, we are only human, and things can go wrong, and sometimes the best we can do is just apologise.
Yeah, exactly. I think we need to talk to our clients more.
Yeah.
That's as we look into next year, it's listening. We send out reviews. We're the same. With Amy, looking review solicitors and sending out those to client. But I think we probably need to talk more. Just sit across the table, pick up the phone, and just say, how did we do? Just be honest, because I mean, there's half of the, if not more, of the reviews that we send out will not be answered because people don't want to leave a review, and they were kind of iffy about the, they were happy, but
and you don't want to
not
force
so
them into
happy
it,
to give a review.
Client confidentiality as well, and they may not want to have it up there, and that's absolutely fine.
So, so how important is data in your marketing efforts?
So I am a huge fan of data. I love data. I could sit and analyse data for hours. Honestly, I can sit in an Excel spreadsheet and pivot table it, and location data, client data. I love source data, where it's all coming from. I can sit there for hours, and as my CEO knows, I love a pie chart. I love a pie chart. A lot of what I do is data driven, but I think with law firms, data is a huge struggle because we have so much.
Right.
We have so much of it, and it's not. The challenge for us is how do we just get out the bits that we need?
Yeah. How do you use it effectively?
And how do you use it effectively?
Yeah.
What you need.
I think data for us has got to point back to that sort of ongoing relationship. So understanding, for us, we're at the stage of, okay, well, which parts of the firm have our clients actually touched, in the longest client journey? How do we join those up? So I think from a data point of view, it's really just understanding at this stage for us, and moving into, okay, well, what do we do with it now?
So, final question, sorry, just because there's only 1 minute left.
No, sure.
So, who has helped you most in your career? Is there anyone you'd like to shout out?
My CEO is she has been a huge mentor to me throughout my career, from the very beginning up to the point that I brought into the business, and still to this day, she is the person that I go to with every decision I cannot make. Right. And she's always at the other end of the phone, she's always at the other end of the email. Sometimes we're emailing each other at 5 o'clock in the morning or midnight. She's always there. So 100%, she is sort of my mentor and the backbone of everything that I do.
Nice. Right.
I've had lots of people that have kind of helped me in my career, both right now at Redkite, but I'm going to be gushy and say my wife for supporting me, giving me the space.
You're going to get me in so much trouble at home
giving me the space to just be who I am.
That was allowed.
Damn it. I'm going to have such a row with my husband watching this. Oh, and also my husband.
Yeah. We'll cut that in first. Yeah.
The blooper reel.